I am going, all right, so I just started recording. All right, so let me present. All right, so I just wanted first to welcome everyone and thank you for joining. If you are someone that came to the first workshop, thank you for returning. If you're someone who's brand new, thank you for being here. We hope that you find this information that we provide tonight very helpful. So this is the second workshop of a series of workshops that we're doing to help provide you with information on ways that you can support your child through remote learning. Just to kind of give you a brief overview, since we have so many participants coming from different networks, we work with an organization called COVE, which stands for Community of Volunteer Educators. And it's a volunteer-run public service organization that's dedicated to providing free tutoring services and educational enrichment experiences to the communities that are in need across New York City. And our vision is to support communities by developing innovative academic programming to reduce educational inequities that have been exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. So we really started our work as soon as we were impacted by the pandemic, and we're kind of continuing with serving our community. Just to introduce myself, my name is Jacalyn Fiechter. I am a middle school teacher. I work at MS 104. So I do have some experience with remote learning and just understanding, the experiences that we're all having during this challenging time. I also graduated from a CUNY school. I got a bachelor's in English and childhood education and a master's in STEM education. I also work on the ed tech team. I'm an administrator there at COVE, and I provide different teacher and parent workshops in educational technology, which was part of the focus of my my degree when I was in the STEM program. And alongside me, I have Deborah Greenblatt. She's going to co-facilitate with me today. Deborah, do you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone. I'm on the board of directors for COVE, and I'm also an advisor because I am a teacher educator. So I do teacher training as a professor at Medgar Evers College. And if at some points I disappear or you hear funny noises, it's because I have a canine co-pilot over here that sometimes likes to interrupt around this time of day. But we're really excited to have you here. And our first workshop was really wonderful because so many families participated and gave us questions and shouted out excitement. And we really hope that you take the opportunity to feel comfortable and participate with us and get what you need from this. This is for you. So please feel free to either use the chat or unmute yourself and ask questions at any time.
Yes, thank you, Deborah, for that piece. It's really important, there's going to be points in time where you're going to participate, and we like to make it interactive. So please feel free to participate at your comfort. Okay, so the agenda is I'm going to give a general overview of common platforms that were listed in the sign-up form, and then I'm going to focus in on two platforms that many families had mentioned they wanted to learn more about, which is BrainPOP and Jamboard. And then I'm going to end off with talking about ways that you can support your child socially and emotionally. And then at the end, if you have some more questions, there's going to be Q&As in between, but if you have more things that you want to share or just feedback that you want to provide, we are definitely open to your words. So thank you. All right, so we're going to start off with an emotional check-in just to see how everyone's feeling. This is something that I like to do with my students, and being that, we're in crazy times and so much has happened in the past couple of weeks, I wanted to do a quick check-in to see how everyone is feeling today. So you'll see on your screen, there's this mood meter, and it basically is it's showing you all the different emotions you can possibly feel when you either have high energy and high pleasantness or low energy and low pleasantness. So what you're going to see on your screen is a poll that's going to pop up. and I just launched the poll, and I want you to take a look at the mood meter, and based on how you're feeling right now, let me know if you are in the yellow zone, or if you're in the green zone, or the blue zone, or the red zone. And this will tie in later to some of the things that we're going to talk about when we talk about social emotional support. And it's anonymous, so your name will not be tied to any of the voting, but I see we have so far mostly everyone feeling in the green area, very like peaceful, serene, content, which is great. We have some participants in the blue quadrant, so either feeling like sad or tired. I don't have access to vote right now, but I would definitely vote for blue. I'm feeling a little tired myself. All right, it says we have 4 attendees out of 7 who have voted. So if you want to take this next minute or two just to share how you're feeling. If anyone wants to like call out maybe like why they're feeling that way, or just want to share how they're feeling right now, you can as well.
I'll go.
Go ahead.
Hi, Jackie. I picked green, I believe. Like today's been just a long day, been a long like 2 days, honestly. And then just because this week, like, I'll be my child, like I'll be co-parent, so I have her every other week. So this is my week with her, and just been like being at elementary school has been closed these last 2 days. Even though she's full remote, but the teachers felt like these last 2 days have been overloading her with lots of work. But and I also run my own program, but I'm good. I'm here, happy to be here, and happy to also like just see what else I can learn from other people in their tool belt with how to support their child with remote learning.
Thank you, Mike. I'm so happy you're here. And yeah, definitely like the snow days kind of threw me off too. Like even though we're working remotely, I just feel like everyone's tired right now. And the fact that like we would typically get a snow day and we didn't, it's just, I feel like there's just a lot of pressure on everyone. So I hope that you get some strategies from this workshop to help you.
And Jackie, don't you feel like this mood meter is different because of the pandemic, right? This is your mood meter within the pandemic, right?
Exactly. Like I just feel like all of our emotions are like to the extreme right now. Okay, so I just wanted to do a little check-in, and we're going to talk later about like why I did this and why I think check-ins like this are important when it comes to social emotional support. So I'm going to end the poll and we'll revisit this discussion a little later. But now I just want to move on to just like giving you a brief overview of some common platforms that were mentioned in the sign-up form. So these were platforms that were like most common when I had reached out to some of my teacher educators, and I found that many of them use these platforms. So first we have Padlet, which is like an interactive digital bulletin board. And it's usually what teachers use to promote discussion and collaboration or sharing of work. Then you have Flipgrid, and it's a platform that's used to facilitate video discussions. So it's very much like Padlet, except it's more video based, which makes it more user friendly for like the younger students. And educators can use it as assessments or homework assignments or participation assignments. And it's really nice because teachers and peers can provide feedback. Next, we have Kahoot, which is a really popular platform. And I think it's also like a great platform if you want to like use as a family at home, because it is a game-based learning platform where you can like create different trivia questions to test your child, or like as an educator, I use it to test students on their knowledge of like different topics. But like when you're thinking of maybe like if you want to find a way to like keep your child entertained you in a fun way or educational way, you can make like your own trivia or find some trivia out there on Kahoot, and it can kind of help with that social emotional piece. And I can show you what that website looks like if you'd like. Also, it's free to an extent, which is really great. So most of these platforms are free to an extent, but if you want to use it for, obviously, if you need to use it for more things, then you would have to pay. But what's great about these platforms is many schools already have it, access to it with, you know, whatever programs they use. So normally your child will already have access to these different websites. The next platform is iExcel, which is a platform that teachers use to provide individualized learning across various subjects. So basically, like in math, depending on the level that your child's at, they'll assign different lessons that fit their needs. And you can use iExcel across all subjects. And I know a lot of educators use this for skill practice. Next, we have Pear Deck or Nearpod, which is an interactive slideshow platform. So a lot of educators usually use this during like live instruction on a Zoom Meet or a Google Meet, because they can see like, you know, the data and the work that their students are doing live. But I know educators also have it where it can be like student paced mode. So say that they miss a live session, they can go back and work on it on their own. The next platform is iReady, which is like one of the newer platforms that I was just introduced to, which is similar to iExcel, a platform that's used to assess students, both their math and reading skills. And again, it's nice because it provides individual learning opportunities that are tailored to the students' needs, based on like, you know, data that was given to the teachers. So what I'm going to do is in the chat, I'm going to drop a PDF file that you can click on and actually access these links later. So you can download this on your computer when I drop it in the chat. But basically, like I've linked it to different family centers for each of these websites that provide more information, since I'm not going into too much detail tonight. But basically, like if you go to the iReady link, it tells you more about, you know, how families can use this as a resource, and it kind of just breaks down the program itself. The same thing for like the platforms. So like you can learn more about like Flipgrid or iExcel, and it's more tailored with information for families. So I'm going to pause for a second and just kind of like go back to that slide with these platforms just to see if anyone has any questions regarding these platforms. So feel free if you want to just unmute yourself, or if you want to like share something in the chat.
Is the iReady, can you test the reading level for a child?
So I believe, yeah, so I believe with iReady, I know that educators, when they like assess the student, it'll tell them information based on their reading level, or like what skills they need to like specifically target in order to grow as a reader. However, I know that comes up on the teacher's end, and I believe the teacher can then share that information with you. So if your child uses the iReady platform and you want to like know information based on the results, I would just reach out to their teacher and see if you can access that. But it should provide you with information regarding that.
Awesome.
Yes, right now they only use it for math and reading, and I'm hoping they expand it for other areas. I teach science, so having more resources is great. In the chat, I actually just dropped the PDF of this slide that I just showed you with the links. So if you want to download it on your device later and take a look at some of those resources, I'm happy also to provide more later.
I think it went directly to you. I don't think it went to everyone.
Oh, I am so sorry.
That's what I'm here for.
Let me send it again. There you go. Any other questions regarding these platforms? So the one thing I wanted to mention about these platforms is some of these platforms are already integrated with the login information that your child normally uses. So for example, my school, we use G Suite. So like in order to access, say like Flipgrid, all they need to do is log in with their school email. So that's something to note, to make note of, because I know like with iReady, it's linked to their like New York City DOE account. So it's like, you know, they need to know the password for that. For iExcel, they have a specific password to access things like that. For Nearpod and Pear Deck, it's just a link that's generated by the educator, and they can just, you know, the students just kind of click on it and they can enter. But teachers can set up their, like these platforms so that it's a little bit more like restricted, that it may require them to log in and things like that. For Kahoot, you just need, again, like a link and a game pin. So it's not like you have to log in for something like that, unless as a parent or a caregiver, you want to like make your own account, then you would have to, or make your own games, then you would have to make an account. And for Padlet, you also don't need an account as well. So some of these are very easy to access, which is why I feel like educators have kind of like resorted to certain platforms, because it just makes the, you know, just kind of takes away some of those obstacles. Okay, so I am going to move into like just overviewing what BrainPOP is. I saw that this was like one of the more common platforms that families wanted to learn more about. So BrainPOP is really fun. It's one of the websites I always use. And basically what it is it's an animated website that provides students with videos, games, and other activities to kind of just like explore and learn more about topics across like every content you can imagine or area you can imagine. Like I said, it provides content in a wide range of subjects, and it's used as a learning tool in many different ways. So educators can use it to either like introduce a topic and engage them in a new topic, maybe like reinforce a certain topic or serve as a review. So down here, this is Tim and Moby. They're very important characters for the BrainPOP platform. And some things that you can do or gain access with when you're using platform is, I actually have a link here where you can actually use the platform for free for a limited time. So if you are thinking of using this as a way for your child to review certain topics, you can go to this link and I can drop it in the chat. And it gives you information about like a family account, and like you can get free access for a limited amount of time to see if you like it, and if it's something that you want to pursue and continue to use, you can. I do know that many schools also have their own login, so you may not even need to do that. I would just ask your child's educator if they have a specific school account or if there's a way for them to log in, because they will need a password, like a username and a password. The nice thing about BrainPOP as well is that it offers resources for students at different grade levels and for students at different like English competencies. So they have what we call BrainPOP Junior, which is for the lower grades, K through 2. And then you have regular BrainPOP, which is from for like the upper grades. So I would say like 3 to high school. So some of them might not be like just like developmentally appropriate in the sense that like, you know, some of the vocabulary may be too challenging or just like way over their head. So if you're using it as a resource, I would suggest to like listen or watch it before you share it with your child, just to make sure that they can actually grasp something from it. And then this other program that they have is BrainPOP ELL, which is really nice because it provides like, again, like individualized kind of instruction with resources that are appropriate for a child who is learning English. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to like show you the website a little bit, but before I do that, does anyone have any questions? No? Just to like get like a quick check-in, do any of your children already like use this site, or have you seen the site before? Yeah, I see.
Yes.
Some shaking your head. Yeah. It's really fun because everyone loves Tim and Moby, and what's really nice is now they're like adding new characters, so I always get excited when someone new is on here. But as you can see, this is the main page, and they have topics for everything: science, social studies, English, math, arts, music, health, and SEL. I'm actually going to show you one about just stress. Since we're talking about social and emotional support, I figured it would tie in nicely. They have engineering and tech, and then they even have like some newer, longer trending videos that are more like relevant to the time. Like they have stuff about like COVID-19, the recent election, and just like topics that are relevant today. So I'm gonna go to the video that I wanted to show you. I think it was about, So right now we're on regular BrainPOP, but you can change it to BrainPOP Junior, BrainPOP L. They have it in Spanish and in French, which is really cool. I wanted to show you this video about stress, but what you see is when you go to a video, they have different like features that you can click into. So they have like the quiz feature, which like is really nice because the students can review what they learned in the video. So this would make for like a nice review of certain topics. Also, there's like challenges, which are like games, and we all know that children love games. So it's like more of a quiz, but in a competitive way. Students can make a map of like what they're learning to show that they, are understanding what they're learning. Again, like to access all this, you would need a login and an account. They can make a movie of what they learned. I've never used this feature, but these are like student-made movies. So it adds some like animation there, which is really cool. And just like other resources, like a related reading. So it's really just like, enriching what they had just watched. So I'm going to show you this video about stress since it connects with our topic of social emotional learning, just so you could get an idea of like what the videos are generally like, because they're structured like very similarly.
We're not getting the audio on it on our end.
Oh, thank you. I think, hold on, let me see.
If you unplug your headphones, will it play it?
Let me try that.
Why?
Does it work?
High score, bottom of the ninth, and I'm up third.
Yeah. Okay.
Dear Tim and Moby, how do we get stress and how do we relieve it? From Alex S. I think I'm in the perfect state of mind to answer this question. Stress is the stuff you might feel when you're under pressure. The feelings you get can be physical, like headaches, jitters, and butterflies in your stomach. Or they can be emotional, like irritability, sadness, and fear. When I feel stressed out, I get edgy, my palms get all sweaty, and I can't sleep. Anyway, the point is, stress is pretty uncomfortable. Why? Well, it has to do with how the human body responds to threats. When we're in danger, chemicals that get us ready for action are released into the bloodstream. Our heart rate rises and we breathe faster, keying us up for physical action. And a surge of sugar hits the bloodstream to provide energy. This is called the fight or flight response. In other animals, these changes are really useful for taking on an enemy or running away from a threatening situation. The problem is our bodies can overdo it and go into fight or flight mode when we're just a little anxious, like during a test or a big speech. In those situations, you really don't need all that energy pumping through your system. In fact, it can make it harder to do what you need to do. And that can make you more worried and more stressed out. Oh yeah, even though we have fewer responsibilities than adults, kids get stressed too. We've got to deal with schoolwork, fitting in with friends, juggling activities, and occasionally, big life changes like moving or divorce. All that pressure can really get your fight or flight response working overtime. That's why so many people respond to stress by running away from their problems. They feel like they can't fight, so they choose flight. But ignoring a problem or running from it won't make it go away. Well, there are some simple techniques you can use to deal with stressful situations. First, it's important to remember that stress isn't always bad. Like if you're worried about a math test, you can channel your nervous energy into studying extra hard for it. Maybe I can channel my nervous energy into my swing. The key is to relax and not let the stress overwhelm you. One good trick is slow breathing. Inhale deeply and slowly through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Repeat that 5 times, counting off each breath. By the time you reach 5, your heart rate will be slower and you'll be calmer. Stretching and flexing your muscles can help you release tension too. Yeah, those techniques are good for short-term stress, but long-term stress can be harder to deal with. When you worry about something after day, it can totally overwhelm your life. Talking to a friend or an adult you trust is a good first step. They can put your problem in perspective and maybe even help you solve it. Whatever your issue is, you're more likely to find a solution if you talk it out than if you just pretend the issue will go away. In general, you can avoid a lot of stress by just leading a balanced life. Getting all of your schoolwork done on time will save you a lot of grief. But make sure you have enough free time too, even if it's just to relax and do nothing. Eating right, exercising, and getting plenty of sleep can keep you stress-free too. If you're not getting enough sleep at night, try catching up with a midday nap. I'm up? Okay, wish me luck. Oh, thanks, buddy.
I love that they always incorporate some humor at the end. Tim and Moby are very funny. There's sometimes. So that was just kind of like a brief look into like what BrainPOP videos are like. Of course, this was like more of like a serious topic, but in that video, I love it because not only does it talk about the topic, it also talks about like some strategies, and it introduces students to like just key vocabulary words as well. And it was a nice tie-in to what we're going to be talking about later on in the session. The name of this BrainPOP video was Stress, and they have like a whole social emotional like section on BrainPOP that like explores different emotions and things like that, topics like that. So it's called Stress. I can put the direct link in the chat. Any questions so far? No?
Yeah, I do have a question for you said all the platforms, like the 8 platforms, is that all for kids from all grades? Like,
yeah, so all of these platforms can be used across all grades, like K through 12. I just labeled them K through 8 because when I did some research amongst my like teacher peers, they were teachers in grades K through 8. But these platforms can be utilized in all age groups. Even Deborah's a professor. She uses some of these with her college students. So these are like platforms that are very like you can use them with anyone.
okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yes, I use Padlet and Flipgrid and Kahoot. A lot of them are used in college classrooms, and not just for people teaching teachers, just to get engagement. And even before the pandemic, like, you know, we would have students sometimes just take out their phones and do some of these activities. So they're really wonderful.
Yes. Okay, so moving on, the second platform that families were interested in was Jamboard. So Jamboard is actually a Google app that you can find in G Suite, and it's basically an interactive whiteboard. Many educators have students use Jamboard to show their work or collaborate with others. And sometimes educators, like since it's a whiteboard, use it to like model learning strategies or or they use it as assignments, say on Google Classroom. So it's a really important tool that many math teachers actually use because, you know, working virtually, it's very challenging to show your work. So since it is a whiteboard, many, like I said, math teachers use it to show their computation and strategies. So some things about Jamboard is depending on the document share settings, because it is a Google document, basically, it does not require a login to access the Jamboard. I think I'm going to test this out. I think we should not have any issues, but the way I said it was, you know, anyone who gets the link can actually like edit and write and like play around with it. And we're going to try it out in like a second. But just like, keep in mind that, you know, if it's part of like your child's Google Classroom, they should be able to have access to it. Also, it's compatible and easily accessible by all devices. So you can use it on an iPad, you can use it on a phone. I actually find it easier to use it on like a tablet because since it's a whiteboard, it's just like easier to draw with your fingers than a mouse. And you can also download it as an app. So if you know that this is a platform that your child uses often, I suggest that you download it as an app. And I think it might be included if you download the whole G Suite app, but I'm not too sure. I can look into that if you're interested. So I wanted to show you what a Jamboard looks like. And in a moment, I will share this link in the chat so you can like test it out yourself. But basically, you know, it's a whiteboard, so you can use this pen stylus, or you can change it into a marker or a highlighter or a paintbrush. So sometimes educators might have an article on here and students have to highlight or annotate, or for math, like I said, students can show their strategies. I use it for like homeroom when I do like Pictionary and I have the kids like draw and we share and we like share and things like that. So you can change the colors. If you make a mistake, there is an eraser tool. If you want to like click around the screen, you're always going to have to click this mouse button so that you're not like drawing and making marks. There's also this sticky note feature, which is really cool. So like if students are annotating, they can write their annotation. I'm just writing hello for now, and it'll create a sticky note. And educators sometimes use this so that classmates can like create a dialogue amongst one another, or like add feedback to their work, which is really neat. Students can also like insert pictures. So whether it's they upload it from their computer or they take a picture. I'm not going to take a picture right now, but you can also like search up images. So say that students are doing a project on this, they can search up images that are related to the project if that project, you know, calls for it. And it's also linked to Google Drive. So if there's any like pictures or anything in Google Drive, you can upload as well in Google Photos. Okay. So lastly, you can add shapes and texts. So like, you know, if it's a geometry unit or you just want to like have your child draw or create pictures, you can have them use shapes. They can also insert text boxes and change the font color, change the size. There aren't ways to change the font type just yet. And then lastly, this laser tool is mostly like, you know, if a teacher's teaching and they want to like highlight things and kind of like get the students' attention. You know, students like colors and things like that. So that helps them too. You can also set the background. So there's like so much that you can do with this tool. So what I'm going to do is in the chat, I am going to put the link to this document. So you can open it up. It's going to probably open up on a different screen. So you'll have Zoom open, but you'll be focusing on this Jamboard. And what you can do is I want you to find a blank frame. So what you'll see is up at the top, if you click this arrow, it'll give you a blank frame. So you can type in your name, or you can put a fake name, or you don't have to at all. But it's just to like avoid any confusion. If you know one person's working on a slide, you can find one that's free. So I want you to just like focus on these 4 tasks, and you can like do as little or as much as you want. it's really up to like how much you want to learn or try out. But I want you to try like using the stylus tool. You can try adding an image, either taking a picture or finding one online. I want you to try adding different shapes, adding a text box, and just kind of like playing around with it. So you're going to go up to the top where you have like these little frames here, and you could click to the next arrow. I see someone has already claimed frame number 2. And you could kind of just use your space. Oh, this is a beautiful drawing we have here on slide number 4. All right, so I'm here if anyone has any questions on how to like work or use certain features.
Jackie, do you have some music to play in the background while they work?
Yeah, DJ Jackie's here. Does anyone have any requests?
You look like a DJ with your headphones on, so it's perfect.
Oh, thank you. Let's see. I'll do some like piano. I always play this with the students, like piano versions of songs.
Yeah, just remember to unplug your headphones so we could hear it. And that'll be perfect because it'll give people some inspiration as they work for a few minutes on their Jamboard creations.
Live TV from 85 plus channels with local sports and news. YouTube TV. Try it free.
This is such an embarrassing story. In high school, when I went to a party with a friend,
If you're trying to lose belly fat, stop doing cardio.
Sorry, guys.
This sounds backwards,
I can't
right?
avoid
Well,
these
believe it-
commercials. Here we go. So I'm just going to pause for a second. I see we are exploring the different features, and I just wanted to add one more item for you to explore using Jamboard. So like I had mentioned before, educators use this platform to collaborate and for students to create a dialogue amongst the peers. So what I want you to do is when you're done with your piece, I want you to scroll to another page, and I want you to use the sticky note feature just to leave someone a comment. So I'm just gonna tell Yuretsi that I really love your background color choice. And you can leave your name, it could be anonymous. So practice using that sticky note. And what I figured is we'll leave 2 more minutes for you to continue practicing with this platform, and then I wanted to move in into social emotional support, so you can try out this feature. Okay, so if we can bring our attention back to the Google Meet, Zoom meeting. I'm so used to using Google Meet with my students. If we could bring our attention back to the Zoom meeting, what I can do is later I can reshare this Jamboard document with you if you want to go back to it and take a look at it, or if you want to continue practicing and trying out for yourself. But if you or your child has access to their G Suite for school, you can actually access Jamboard as part of it, and you can also play around with it some more. All right, so once you're ready to move on and talk a little bit about social emotional support, can you just put a smiley face in the chat for me? All right, I see most of us are back. We'll just wait like 30 more seconds. Awesome. All right, so now I'm going to move into social emotional support, and kind of bits and pieces of what we did today kind of all ties into this idea of supporting our children socially and emotionally. So before I go into some strategies on how to do that, I have this question for you. It's not a trick question, but when you ask your child, what do you miss about being in school regularly? What do they normally say? Anyone? You could shout it out. You could type it in the chat. They're friends. Yes, they're friends, they're teachers, right? That is a key component that they are really missing. Even as an educator, that's what I miss most, is just being able to see my students physically. So, you know, that being said, social emotional support and learning is a major thing that they pick up when they're in school. But being that they are not in the classroom in, you know, under normal circumstances, we kind of have to figure out how we can support them in developing some of those skills that they are currently not, you know, developing in the classroom. So I was reading some articles and I came across this New York Times article, and just to kind of like, you know, highlight what we said, how children are really missing their friends and just like human interaction. I pulled out some quotes that I found very like, you know, just, you know, very touching. So that one student said, "I miss walking down the hallways with my friends. I miss sitting in a classroom with a teacher and other students, having discussions and asking questions. I miss the loud and crazy lunchroom. I truly miss things I didn't even know that I loved about my school." And then moving on in that same article, I started to pull out more lines of just like showing what, you know, students across the world right now are really feeling, and probably just, you know, everyone is really feeling. So some students said, you know, "I'm often anxious that I will not be able to join or maintain access to online classes and assignments. I've noticed that staying on task gets harder as the weeks go on. The workload has been overwhelming." So just like these words really stood out to me of just like, you know, what mood we're kind of like all dealing with and we're in right now based on the circumstances. So of course, you know, like a kindergartner or a second grader, they don't have the vocabulary to like mention, "Oh yeah, like I'm anxious," or, you know, "I feel overwhelmed," right? They haven't developed that vocabulary yet. So as adults, we need to figure out how we can help them identify how they're feeling and how we can support them and get them to a place where they can feel better, right? Or feel like reach what they want to be or what they want to feel. So I kind of broke down social emotional support into 3 steps. And this is like, as educators, what we do, right? Because even as adults, we still try to like maintain and understand our own emotions. So you can look at it like in these 3 steps, where like step 1 is just like checking in with your child, finding time to like just check in with them. It doesn't have to be anything super structured, but just to like get an idea and wrap, you know, your head around like what they're feeling, what they're going through, and finding ways to help them identify what they're feeling. The second step is helping them process and understand exactly what they're feeling. Like I said, if you have a child like in second grade, you know, their vocabulary is not as developed. So like they might often say, "I'm happy" or "I'm sad," but to them that happy and sad actually means something else. And then for step 3 is shifting and regulating. So yeah, and fine is not an answer. Every time I ask my students, like, "How are you feeling?" It's always "good, I'm okay, I'm fine." But good, okay, and fine is not really an emotion. It's not really a feeling, right? Like I just said that my pizza that I ate last night was good, like, or you know, so it's not really an emotional feeling. So like just really being able to like understand what they mean by it. So step 1 is checking in and identifying the emotion. So you can check in with your child and then use different strategies or tools to help your child identify their emotions. So it's as simple as like every day, just like, "How are you feeling today?" Or look for visual cues. So like, you know, facial expressions, body language, and then giving them a space and ways for them to identify exactly how they're feeling. So in my school, we use this thing called a mood meter. Just a simple like thumbs up, thumbs down, just to kind of like get an idea of like how they're doing. They can verbalize it if your child, you know, is at that stage of development and can really express themselves. Or again, like using a different type of mood meter, or like whatever works for you. But definitely starting off with checking in regularly and trying to help them identify exactly what it is they're feeling. Do you want to
interrupt for one quick second? It's also really important to model that, right? So to tell, sorry, my dog's agreeing, to explain to them what you're feeling and what that means, and even an example as to what's making you feel that way. Because even if your kids are little, or if they're older in high school, it's very hard to communicate these specific feelings, and also to feel safe to share them. And we know that when you're a parent or a grandparent or aunt or uncle, that sometimes our kids don't want to share those things with us and feel vulnerable. So it's really important that we show our own vulnerabilities and not just have them check in with us, but that we check in with them and just say, this is how I'm feeling. It's also helpful because we are in a pandemic and we are stressed and sometimes we're tired and frustrated, for your child to know that that's not because of them, right? Like you're having a tough day or you're feeling, exhausted or something like that. So I just wanted to kind of add that in because I think it's obvious when I say it, but it becomes one of those things we have to make an effort to do because it is hard to be vulnerable, but realize however hard it is for you, it's harder often for your kids, whether that's because they're teenagers or because as little kids, and Jackie keeps saying they might not have the words or the understanding of what the vocabulary means to them. So sorry.
Yeah, and a lot of like when we talk about like social emotional support or just like learning, it's also important to think about the connection that it has just to their like academic success and their academic progress. A lot of times, like, if you have a child who's really struggling, is not really doing work, playing games instead of like following along during the lesson, this could be cues and like signs, just like to show you that, maybe they're really dealing with something else emotionally. So that's just something also to think about. Just like the social emotional aspect is really important because it can impact their learning experience. All right, so moving on, once you've checked in and have helped your child identify how they're feeling, you can move on to step 2, where you give them a space to really process and understand what they're feeling. So like Deborah said, it's really important to like model how you would express yourself and understand, exactly what you're feeling. So give your child a space and opportunities to process and understand what they're feeling and why they're feeling that way. And you can use it in a variety of ways. So, if your child's a writer, you can get them a journal, just have them write about it. If your child likes art, have them draw about it. Some children can just talk about it. Maybe they can build a structure or something to, demonstrate how they're feeling, or maybe create some sort of like dance piece to express how they're feeling and just show you exactly like what they're feeling and try and get down to the root of why they're feeling that way. Again, this ties into the idea that, emotions is a very, or just like, social emotional learning is a very broad or like abstract topic. And just like trying to really understand those feelings is important, and having the space to process it is important. So like I mentioned earlier, if a child is saying, well, yeah, I'm not doing my work because I'm really sad, maybe, what they mean by sad is like they feel lonely or, things like that. So just understanding, and processing what they're feeling. And the last step is shifting and regulating. Just thinking of yourself in a normal day, you're not happy, or, you're not energized, all 24 hours of the day. Moods and emotions are like a roller coaster, right? Constantly shifting and changing. So find healthy ways to help your child shift and regulate their emotions so that they can get to a place where they, want to be. Because like we mentioned, emotions are ever changing, and kind of like thinking back to that mood meter that we were in or checked in with at the beginning of the session, you can see that, some emotions are very similar, and it's very easy to go from, having high energy to low energy, and just kind of like thinking of ways to, help you shift to a place where you want to be. So like, I know some of these just, might seem like very obvious, but like, I think about, teaching in a classroom, the first thing students want to do as soon as they see their friends after a long period of time is like hug them, right? That's something they're missing out on. So just as a parent, siblings or whatnot, just hugging your child every now and then, just kind of giving that like human interaction that they're normally not you know, that they usually get, but they're kind of not getting as much now. In the video about stress, it kind of walked through like what breathing exercises are, and they definitely help you. I know they help me. So something like that can be very, you know, helpful with shifting and regulating emotions. Positive self-talk. I feel like students are, you know, really struggling right now, maybe with just like, you know, self-esteem and confidence, because remote learning is so challenging that, you know, I have seen a decline in just confidence in their work because of remote learning and just how challenging it is. Also, like just finding therapeutic outlets like artwork or reading or yoga or playing just physical games if you want to give your child a screen break. These are all ways in which you can help your child shift and regulate their emotions to a place where, you know, they feel comfortable and want to be. So I'm gonna stop there. That was kind of like information overload, but if you have any questions, I know it's 7 o'clock. Does anyone like have anything they want to ask or share or something that they're wondering?
Hi, this is Patience.
Hi, Patience, welcome back.
Yes, I was listening to you all along. I think I logged on like 15 minutes late, but I heard most of the conversation. The part about the emotions is the gold key that you have just opened, the golden door, because my daughter is in high school, and from the first workshop, I think I got closer to her by understanding what she was doing. And that's when I realized she had all these struggling things going on. And I don't know if intuition, but I also let her know that I'm vulnerable. Like this, I'm not having fun with this. I'm a frontline worker. It's not easy, but I've never thought of sharing that part of my profession with her. I've never thought of doing that. And now I can go to her bedroom and say, "So Queen, I'm sad." And she said, "What's going on, mommy?" And I realized when I said it twice, she's opening up to me more. She's telling me what's going on, what is hard. And she will miss class. She's never missed class when she will travel to school. She's missed class when she's home. She's virtual and she will not log on because she's sad. And she told me about the mood meter that one of their teachers is using. And that is the class that she always goes because she's being hurt. And she's like, he's very serious about it. He actually reads what we post and he gets back to us. So she felt like this teacher is the best teacher who was not a good teacher when they were in person. But now they really, really love him. His class is always full because he wants to talk about how they feel before he starts the class. So I've learned a lot from you today. The solutions that we gave, I'm going to try some. I'm going to try some and see how it works. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Patience. Thank you for sharing. And definitely just know that your daughter and you're not the only ones who are like dealing with these type of emotions and these feelings. And you know, oftentimes just because of the state that we're in and the fact that we have to learn remotely, I feel like a lot of the social emotional pieces have been kind of like pushed to the side, not pushed to the side in the sense, but just it's not the main focus. Like there's so much going on and like we're all overwhelmed and it's just, you know, we haven't been able to really shift it into like just focusing on that. So I think it's really important. And I'm so happy that you saw a change in your daughter.
One thing she said, and I was laughing in my head, but I felt like she has regressed a little bit. She said, "Sometimes I don't even think my friends will come back when we go back to school." And I was like, "You're 15. Why would you think your friends wouldn't come back to school?" But I'm like, "Yeah, you're right." And then I was laughing in my head, like, that's something a 3-year-old would say. But she said, "I even feel like they will never come back. I'll never have any friends again." I'm like, "Whoa, okay. Let's talk about that a little bit."
Yeah, that's a big fear. Like just, you know, they're afraid that their friends are not going to come back. They're not able to spend time with their friends or connect.
That she cannot rebuild her relationship. And she worked so hard to have good friends. And now COVID has made her lose them all. And it's hard. Listening to her, it was disheartening. It's still disheartening. I'm like, you know what? This is so not right. So
Yeah.
not right. Yeah.
Well, I hope that you found some, like you said, you found some of these strategies very helpful. And if you ever need any other like support or just have questions, please do not hesitate to reach out. Does anyone else want to share or ask any questions before we go? No? Okay, so thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope that you found this information helpful. Later on, probably tomorrow morning, I'll follow up with an email just kind of sharing this presentation with you and sharing all of the resources that we went over today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I can put the email in the chat. It's info at COVE educators. So here, let me put it in the chat. It's also the email that gave you the confirmation. All right.